Rendering. Yo, we're back. Well, hello. Hello, you guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to Pencil to Pencil. Is everybody all right? Everybody's here? It got too quiet. That's weird. Guys, welcome back to your favorite Wednesday night circumstance. This is Pencil to Pencil.
My circumstances changed.
That's right. Check your oil. We're back. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. EST, you get to hang out and have counsel with live expert cartoonists. That's right. We're real people. I don't know where else on the internet you can get this kind of rich texture, but it's right here. You're in the right place. Guys, my name is JAMAR NICHOLAS. I am a cartoonist in good standing, part of the board of the National Cartoonist Society, and also the Philadelphia chapter chair. Is that enough? Is that enough of a pedigree for you? Leon the Extraordinary is the name of my first book in my series at Scholastic under the Graphics imprint. In stores now. Cop it, why don't you? But guess what? The next book in the series, Leon Worst Friends Forever, will be in stores October 1. Pre-order it right now wherever books are sold. I would like to introduce my co-host. I would be remiss if I did not shout him out. You guys know what to do. Stand up and make that belt motion. You guys all watch wrestling. Don't front. Make the belt motion. It's WrestleMania season. Make that belt motion.
I'm injured. I need the doc to come and give me some injections of some kind.
That's right. You need a Z-Pack.
Then just cut your forehead with the razor blade.
No gigging yet. Let's start the show. Welcome, the world heavyweight champion of webcomics. He is known as Stone Cold Steve Conley. What's up, Steve Conley?
Good to see you guys. It's so good to be here. For the folks who don't know who I am, my name is Steve Conley. I write and draw the webcomic The Middle Age. You can read it at middleagecomic.com. Episode 300 is on my drawing board. It is. I'm going all out for this one. I'm really excited for this. The story itself's got about another 100 episodes to go, but it's a story about a knight who's in love with a dragon, has a magic sword that hates him. Read it, won't you? And I also make TTRPG stuff, like stuff for Dungeons and Dragons. So check out Intoximancy, the upcoming Nibblemancy, and all sorts of silly stuff like that. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Tower Power, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, the maestro of mark making, Mr. Mike Manley.
Well, hello.
Good evening. Hello.
Well, hello.
Mike Manley, I draw the Phantom, the original superhero.
That's right.
And Judge Parker, and I've drawn much of your childhood, I've been told. So I take responsibility for the nightmares.
That's so funny. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. You said the Phantom, like the purple Phantom, the striped shorts Phantom, the Smash Evil
85, 80, or 86 years old this year, I think.
Yo, man, put some respect on the Phantom's name. Come on, y'all. That's what a feat. Mike, how does it feel being part of another comic?
Over a lot.
Being a part of another comic legacy.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to work on something that has that legacy behind it, and I would say probably even more so than Batman. Fans of the Phantom are very. Well, he's very popular worldwide, all over the world. Yeah. And fans are very passionate about the character. And that is people, fairly young to, people my dad's age, who were reading them when they were kids. So it's, and if you misstep, they let you know. They're a very vocal group of, of fans who will let you know. Right away, whether they like something or don't like something.
We all know about how that works. And I also know, like, the online presence. We're kind of like, where can you see the Phantom online? Is it Comics Kingdom? Is that
it? Comics Kingdom, the newly relaunched Comics Kingdom, comicskingdom.com.
Yeah.
And I think they're still working a few bugs out.
The
site, but they this now is probably the third or fourth relaunch of the website. So like every 5 or 6 years, it seems like they would relaunch, you know, the website and redesign it and relay it out. And I think also too, because the syndicates realize that honestly, the future for strips is not print, because newspapers are not a growing industry, as everyone knows. I mean, every year they get smaller and there's fewer of them. In the last couple of years, several big syndicates who own many, many, many papers have canceled, either outright canceled all the strips, or would say, okay, well, we're only going to run 20, and these 20 we're going to run, including a lot of what do they call zombie strips, which are strips that are run but are no longer being actively created, you know, by the creators.
Right, they're just like in the rotation, but no one's
run peanuts.
Right. That's so interesting. And also, I mean, one of the things that's so evergreen about comics is that, you know, there's always somebody new picking up comics in some format to review it. Now, this is funny, you guys. I want to tell you a quick story before we get to our guests. So I'm a little punchy tonight, and I'm better than I was yesterday. I just had a birthday. That's not why I'm punchy. I've just done a run of school visits. So part of my new identity over the past couple of years doing work at Scholastic, I do a lot of traveling. I just did a run of school visits, and I was at a school this afternoon with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Now, the interesting thing about them, and these are my people. Like if I have a grade, it's these kids, because everything's a magic trick to them. They're all like, "Whoa!" And nobody at the comic shop is ever going, "Whoa!" when I walk in, unless my pull box is full and I need to pull it. So, one of the kids asked, and this is like the number one question besides "Are you rich?" is "How old are you?" Right. So I never tell them how old I am. That's like, you know, you'll never get the room back.
900 years old.
Yeah, I say some sort of like weird number. Like I said, I'm 806 years old. They're like, what? Really? But somehow I started telling them about when I started doing comics, which was in the 90s. And I said 1997. And then all the kids, their minds just like melted, and they're like,
There was the continents had formed by 1997.
Well, it's crazy to think that if you go to a bar and you show them your ID, they stop looking at it if it says 1900 on it, because you're obviously over 21 at this point. That means we're old.
This might help.
That means we're old, you guys. But one of the things I wanted to share with you guys real quick, because I thought this was great, is I had the most magnificent throwback today. Look at that! I had an old school lunch at the school. Look at that! It was pizza day.
I remember that. In fact, I think the roof of my mouth is still burned from that pizza I had in 3rd grade.
Oh, chocolate milk and pizza?
Yeah, it's carb. It's carb counting. You count all the carbs.
You got a carb load. That's fantastic.
No wonder you have to lunch. Every kid is like, oh.
That's why
you gotta go down, take your nap.
That's why Timmy's asleep.
Needs more dairy.
That's right. It's throwback lunch. But you know, this was the best part of my day, was having this old school.
That was the best meal of the week.
No, you know what? Because you're like, you know, it's all about reliving these feelings and memories of being a kid. That's what makes me a kid's author. I have to connect to that somehow, and that lunch did it.
I also remember like fish sticks was a pretty popular one.
A
little bit, but they were like little thin. At my school, anyway, they were like little. And fish sticks and French fries, I think.
Oh yeah, well, I think later
that slab of cheese on top. That's basically its own thing. It's amazing. I missed that.
It's a rug. Yeah, a rug of cheese. But with that said, the kind of what's been going through my head lately is age and aging and getting older, and also, now that we're the graybeards, there was a point when I first came in and I had this conversation with my buddies, like, "Wow, man, wouldn't it be cool to be like the guy or those guys?" And now, like, we're those guys, and there's young creators coming in, or even if we teach, there's a lot of young students come in who are like looking at us like, "Wow, you're a legend." Like, I don't feel like a legend. I just feel old.
It's stiff.
This is going to kind of come into our conversation today because we have some ultra special guests in the green room. We're like one person short. We're still going to make this work. We have the tribe team in effect tonight. Todd Johnson and Larry Stroman. Larry is AWOL right now. I don't know where Larry is, but we're still going to have a fantastic conversation.
He's bedridden after the pizza.
Oh no. So I've kept Todd waiting long enough, and we're going to have a great conversation. And guys, if you're new to Pencil to Pencil, this is live, LIVE. Please feel free to comment in the comment section or reply in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Ask us a question. This is what it's about. But I cannot guarantee it'll get on the screen or get a reply. But I'll try my best to fold it into the batter of our conversation tonight. Got it? Good. All right, you guys. I would be remiss if I did not introduce Todd Johnson of the Tribe team. Bring him in. Ting!
I don't know what that sound effect was.
Yeah, that was the 3D print. That was the digital render.
Typewriter.
There you go. It was cool, whatever it was.
Score by age. Sling.
I'm still excited about the Phantom,
Yeah. Let's talk. Mike.
He had the coolest tagline long time ago with the Ghost Who Walks.
Yeah.
Nobody had taglines like that, but he's like one of the first tagline superheroes. Kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, Falk was sort of ahead of his time because a lot of stuff that people don't even think about that came from Batman came from either Zorro or the Phantom.
Probably combination.
Because Bob Kane was a big appropriator of things, like a lot of things were back in that day. Something was a hit, and then immediately 20 people made a copy of it.
Oh, that's still today. I mean, how many powers you have? You got your speedsters, you got your bow and arrow guys, you got your growing or shrinking people. It's all from another planet, magical rings, magical talismans. It's all the same stuff. You just rework it.
But yeah, it's funny sometimes when we all get together and you kind of, I don't know if anybody else does, but sometimes I just stand back and just like look at the pedigrees. It's like, wow, it's kind of fantastic to talk about these things just in the, very commonly, like, oh, so Mike's been on the Phantom for what is it, 14 years, Mike?
No, that was Judge Parker.
Oh, Judge Parker. I'm sorry, Judge Parker is 14
the Phantom,
years.
I think, will be 8.
That's wild.
That's a long time, regardless.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, in comics, you don't really get that anymore. You don't get people doing, outside of probably people like you, Todd, people who do have their own book now. It used to be that you wanted to get in and you wanted to get a book, and then you would do, like Jack Kirby, 101 issues of something, right? But
Mike, you have to do my kind of plan where you do 4 issues and then leave for 20-something years. I'm pacing myself.
I love it. That's fantastic. And so, like, maybe Todd, maybe we'll just start here. What have you been up to?
I run a marketing company, and I do an electronic music festival, and I manage DJs and throw parties and stuff. I just have a good time.
Wow, I love it.
Late night stuff. I was in the nursing home business, but I retired about 5 years ago. I had a 100-bed long-term skilled nursing home.
Did you ran yourself? You managed?
Yeah, it was my grandmother built it back in 1961, so it's just been a generational thing with the family.
And
we got out right before COVID hit. like almost 6 months. We closed 6 months before COVID hit, so we'd all been in there in some kind of disarray because nursing homes were kind of like the first place that COVID hit, like mysteriously before anybody even knew what it was. It was killing folks in the long-term industry. So somebody got me out of there right on time.
Wow, that's like a brow sweep right there.
Yeah,
it has been, and plus a lot of stress off your back and everything else. From doing. That's not the happiest business in the world.
No.
So with that being said, clearing up that major piece of life and stuff, and just when you're doing a creator-owned thing, everything has to line with two people. Me and Larry have to line up through whatever each person is going through, and it just never quite lined up. So coming up on the last year, coming on the 30-year anniversary, you just really start thinking of legacy. And you start thinking about your age, and we're both the same age. We're both at that time. We're both 61, and you're looking around. You're like, okay, how many more shots are you even going to get at anything creatively? Everything fades, including our brain waves and our talent and everything. So I don't know, just seemed like a good time. So we just decided this time to do it for fun, not for all the industry stuff and all the who can get in Wizard magazine and who can show up who at a convention and who cares, It's like we're just doing it kind of for ourselves and anybody else that we can connect with. Obviously the old fans, if they still, the ones that are still around, and any bridge that we can build to the new fans. So, it's Tribe for the people that want Tribe, not, hey, we sold 1 million copies.
Right.
I mean, who cares? Who cares how many copies anybody sells of anything except for you? So I don't know how that ever got to be a big thing of deciding whether something was more valuable or worth more as far as reading it because it sold 500,000 copies or 200,000 or whatever.
Right.
Well, the other thing that's odd that you learn about that is that, because I know a guy who was Dale Keown's agent for a while.
Yeah.
Foxhoven. And there's sell and then there's sell through. You sell to the retailers, but there's garages full of those old comics that nobody's ever going to buy.
True statement. True statement.
So it's not like 500,000 people are walking around with it like in their comic book collection.
Well, that's why you still see, if you go to shows, sometimes if you are the guest, like say, for example, Mike Manley, you're on the panel, you're on the guest, you can go by some of the dealers' tables and they have sealed cases of books that you've done, like Dark Hawk #1s and stuff like that, because there's just a plethora of this stuff around, and they look forward to these times when a creator, a writer, or artist will appear at shows so they can pull all that stuff back out again.
Right. They just have it on deck. Right.
Yeah.
There is no paper drives to destroy all the comics like there were in
exactly
the 40s and the 50s. In fact, I just saw today on Facebook a copy of Superman #1 is going for, I think, over $4 million now.
Oh, crazy amounts now.
Yeah.
Crazy amounts. Because that stuff is truly rare, though. That stuff was destroyed in the paper drives, or that was back when comics weren't being put in backing boards and bags. You folded up, put in your back pocket, traded with your friends. Your mom threw them away when you went to college. Nobody cared.
In the shoebox with your bottle caps.
Yeah.
My grandma did that to my dad. Supposedly my dad told me that he had a bunch of old comic books and Lionel Trains, and when he went into the Navy, my grandma goes, "Oh, he's a man. He won't want this."
It's just paper. They would burn that stuff, It's just pulp.
And my dad is the age that he could have had, early Batmans and Supermans and stuff like that.
Well, probably most of you guys' age, when we were growing up too, the way that the retailers return comics, you didn't have to ship the whole thing. You just tore the cover off.
Yeah.
So, you go to these stores and flea markets, and there was always these tons of books with no cover on them. So obviously all those books become more rare too, because the people that took them back, they just destroyed those covers.
Yeah.
And those covers dipped. And nobody wants the coverless books, of course.
You could the first place I bought comics, Mary's, a little store down the street from me. All the Marvel comics I got in the beginning all had the covers torn off, or half the cover.
Because he was probably buying them bulk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they sell them by the pound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait,
that was when either the whole cover was going, or they would. It was almost like box tops, like you would cut off the title.
Yeah.
And return that. Yeah. Yeah. That's
well, think about when you were growing up. Your friends had comics. You get a comic. You put you take a black magic marker and put JAMAR inside it. You know, or the date or whatever.
Right.
You still see those books. You buy collections and you open it up and somebody's name is on the inside. Nobody cared. It was my thing. I wasn't going to sell it. All this whole collector's market and stuff just didn't exist then. You know, now it's like, I mean, when a kid brings up something to me now that this tomb thing, I get it. I get why they're doing it. Mm-hmm. But when a kid is saying that, I say, well, how did you like the book? Mm-hmm. And they say, well, I never read it. And I'm like, why did you buy it? It's going to be, you know, it's going to be worth, CGC says it's worth $200 or whatever. I mean, when we've gotten to this now, you know, I fear for the market, shall we say? You know, actually,
well, that's what helped implode it the first time.
Yeah, somewhat.
That's I know. I remember when Superman Returns, when Superman came back from the dead. There was a guy I know that used to own a shop in South Philly. Evidently bought. The guys were buying comic box, a Kate. You know, they get like 300. They had stacks and stacks and stacks of these things because they thought, okay, now you're not going to catch me this time. Superman comes back, you know, grandma's going to take herself out of Todd's nursing home and wheel herself to the comic book store, you know, and she's going to get her copy of Superman comes back. And it's like, no, just what I was saying, like a lot of those early Image comics, that guy, Phil, had stuff in his garage, just like cases of comic books, you know, and that really, and the whole Image, the whole Wizard thing and manufacturing, because the other thing that people don't understand is that if you have a book and it says, let's say it's worth $50, when you go into the comic book store, it's not worth $50. It's worth $25 if you're lucky.
Not
it's
even that.
$50 if you sell it to me or you, but not from a reputable source.
Right. But the Overstreet Guide said,
no.
The back of my Wizard magazine said, this is a hot book.
Do you remember that movie Trading Places?
I love Trading Places.
When the main character, he went in to sell that special $50,000 watch he had. And the guy said, I don't care what it is right now. It's $500. That's how comic stores are. You know what? I mean, I had retail stores. Me and Larry owned some stores in Detroit along with a couple other partners. And that's the sad state of the affairs, that unfortunately the same guy that's selling you something and telling you this should be hot or this artist is hot or whatever is the same guy you're coming back to that's now telling you possibly a different story when it's time for you to sell it.
Wow, yeah.
You know, you think about it. You know, you told me this was going to be hot. Okay, that same guy that sold you the hot book at 50 is telling you he either doesn't even need it because he has too many, or he's telling you I give you $3 for it.
Right.
I mean, that's just the sad nature of any hobby or any kind of collectible. It's, you know, it's what happens as time goes by, you know, and a character falls out of favor, or a creator falls out of favor, or anything, you know, it fluctuates.
Hold on. I just want to say this real quick about that. What I think is really interesting is that I'm sure everybody, if you've even been in the shop, has seen somebody wander in or call, and the guy says, no, we don't really buy comics, right? There's this kind of mystique that people think you just walk in with a wheelbarrow full of stuff and they're going to give you cash for it. Doesn't work like that.
It almost never works like that. It's still what you call key books and special books and the books that are hot right now. And anybody that tells you otherwise is you know, it's just fooling you, you know. I mean, you see the dealers at the shows, they have the same hot books. The stores, you know, it just goes in cycles. you know, and the best thing you can do is catch one of those waves and ride it until it's over, you know?
Well, I'm still sitting on these Furbies. They're going to get hot again. I can feel it.
When you sell them, JAMAR, call me so I can bring my Pogs.
Yo, we're going to slam them. I love it.
That's right. Furbies and Pogs sale right now.
Yeah, Pogs lasted, it seemed like 3 months or something, because that was a big thing suddenly.
Oh, they were going so quick, man. But you have to admit that it was brilliant, the people that made the money off it. You know, it's like they're Ponzi schemes. And if you ride it at the early stage, you make money. If you end it at the end, you get caught holding the bag like musical chairs.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting, you know, the time that you got in at Image and everything was kind of like MTV. Everything was blowing up. Everything was really, it was all perception, right? It was mostly perception.
Yep.
And now those people, those fans are in their mid-30s. You know, if you were 15,
older than that, yeah,
you know, and I found out a couple times recently,
like 40s.
Yeah, so like my podiatrist, when he had to operate on my leg, he sees my name, and he's like, "You," and I go, "Yeah." And several times in the last couple of years, from, you know, going back and forth to the doctor and stuff, or going into the hospital, the people in the hospital knew me. In fact, when I went in to have my bypass, the guard, I was wearing a Dark Hawk t-shirt because it was the only clean one that I had on my laundry. He sees the t-shirt and he goes, right? So it's weird because those people are now all in, like you said, late 30s to mid 40s. That was that whole group of people now who are slowly moving through. You know, so it's very strange. Those people were buying stuff that had your signature on it from the QVC and everything.
I think one other interesting aspect of the older collector, which is probably, you know, like the hottest spot for us, is that now those people actually have jobs and have money to spend.
That's a true statement.
You know,
that's a true statement.
You know, there was a period in my life where I worked at the Warner Brothers studio stores at the mall in the art gallery. If you remember how hot Sarah cells were in that little thing, the itchy and scratchy arm. You get that, and people would show up, and like Warner Brothers was a kind of a high end thing. Like the Disney store ain't cheap. You know, they'll bleed you out in those places. And these lawyers will come in for the Taz polo, you know, and drop like $500-600 in there because they're serious, and their nostalgia was worth the money to them.
That's right. Everybody wants to relive the childhood, and now they can afford all this stuff. You know, you can buy you a Robbie the Robot toy, or you know, Speed Racer, die-cut car, you know, die-cast car, or whatever. You know, like I mean, you look at the back of. Look at behind you and behind me or something like that. There's collectibles. There's stuff that, you know, what is this stuff? You know, there's some limited edition Black Panther bust. You know, what did I do? I have no idea, but it's one of 50 or something. So, you know, it's like you just have stuff. But you know, the funny thing about comics, and this is how social media is now. Back in the 90s. It's very much like smoke and mirrors. So when you hear people talking about they're promoting their comics or they're promoting anything, they say, okay, I'm on Facebook and I have 5,000 friends because that's the limit on a personal Facebook page. So I try to tell people about basically how it all works on a rule of 10. If you max out your Facebook, for example, at 5,000, if you divide that by 10, you really only have 500 people that you can reach at any given time. And then if you look at like when you post things and you divide that 500 by the 10, there's usually about 50 people that like your stuff on a regular basis. Okay, and then if you divide that by another 10, there's usually only about 5 people that comment all the time.
broke the matrix right there. That's right.
That's truly the delusion people have if they throw, like in my business, like when we throw parties, people will say, okay, well, I put the flyer on and I've got 5,000 friends, so this party's going to be packed. So then 50 people show up to the party. I'm like, man, that Facebook post was not enough saying, hey, you know, me and JAMAR are giving a party, and Mike Manley's going to be, you know, the celebrity bartender, and Steve's going to be singing or whatever, and then nobody shows. Right. Because it's all an illusion, and that's all the Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff is not really for us. It's supposed to be like entertainment, but really it's for them to mass millions of people together and sell your data.
Right.
You know, we're just the sheep. Or sheeple, you know, we're just the sheep using it for our own entertainment purposes or business purposes, but really we're being used, you know?
What do they say? If it's free, then you're the product.
Exactly. That is so true. It's so true. But, you know, you use it, at least be aware, and then use it in the best way you can. A lot of people are just willy-nilly out there doing this stuff. There's lots of literature and books and stuff you can read to maximize your use of your social platform and your clout, shall we say, clout with a K.
Yeah.
You know, it is very usable if you understand even how it works. Like it's funny to me that people will post things and don't tag anybody.
Right.
You know, so you haven't even learned that, you know, that's a really nice feature for immediate, you know, like say your base, like you always have a base of people that are always paying attention to pencil. You have like regular fans.
Right.
So do you alert them when a special show is coming or whatever? You know, I might bore you with a bunch of marketing stuff, but people don't use it all in conjunction with email and their phone and texting. It should be a full attack on all fronts, not just, oh, we're going to attack by boat.
Right.
You know, send the plane, send the missiles, send the soldiers, send the Navy, send everybody. You know, let's do it all. You know, and that's our approach. That was our approach back then. I mean, segueing back into Tribe, that was our approach even in the 90s. Even though we didn't have the internet, that's how we approached it. What was available at the time, which was the phone and writing letters and going to stores and appearing at conventions. We tried to do everything all the time, all at once, you know, and it worked, you know, because
it was harder though, right? It was much harder, right? Because
it was way harder. But you know, the thing is, what you have now is the immediacy of social media. It gives you people that are fans, but it also gives you people that are critics, and they have immediate access to bash you. You know, so if Mike Manley is rude at a convention, the just the ire is immediately. Somebody's already, man, you won't even be home, Mike, and somebody's already posted that Mike is a jerk.
You
haven't even got home.
That's my MO.
And this guy, you know, people have already posted a picture of you, and the people have already tagged 10 of their friends and said, don't buy stuff. And by the time you get home, you're like, when did this happen?
Right. You're viral already. Yeah.
All I did is tell a guy, I'll sign it when I get back from lunch. I'm not signing it right now. And he's like, he's a jerk. He's a jerk, you know. So you have to be more careful now. That's the difference now, because the access to you and the access to the public is immediate.
Yeah.
On all fronts.
Todd, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, they don't use this term anymore, but like guerrilla marketing. Like when I came into the industry, I was a straight self-publisher, right? So you had to figure it all out in a different yo, I have that book, the green one. That was my Bible. Yo. So just, you know, on the strength of that, like there were a lot of people who weren't even thinking critically about how to do things without having to solicit and diamond or have to like take your brand manager out for coffee. Sauce
well, the thing is, the book. I think it starts because most people went into this because we are all fans. You know, we all, the major story you hear is as a kid, this is a character I always wanted to do, or I loved comics as a kid, and we grew up and we're grown people, but we're still at heart. It's like this Peter Pan type thing. We're still kids trying to put out our childhood. And with that being said, a lot of people have never looked at the comic. You look at the comic, but you didn't look at the comic business. So the business side, you didn't even really have a plan. You just said, hey, I'm going to draw this book. I'm going to get this book written and lettered or colored or whatever. And then I'm going to take it up to Kinko's, or I'm going to call a printer and I'm going to print something. And I'm going to go to my local show and I'm going to sell them and everybody's going to buy them. That's all you thinking inside this box. But you really never thought about, like, everybody, you talk to creators all the time. We all want to put out a book, but nobody has ever said, well, how am I going to sell the book? You know, so, or even how many times have you gone to a show and there's two dudes there sitting behind a table and they're talking to each other while people are walking past? None of them are looking or smiling. Somebody, or they're on their phone, or they're playing some game. I'm like, what did they come here for? You know, you're supposed to be here selling, not talking to the dude you talk to every day.
Right.
So I think having a plan first of what is your 360 plan in all the areas, the marketing, the advertising, the production, the creativity, the everything. I think until you pretty look, you know, you have to almost like write that down, man, and really look at what you're trying to do. Like, you seem like, I don't even know you personally, but the Leon thing seemed like there was a plan behind it. You know, that you know, Leon the Extraordinary is going to start here and it's going to go here. And this is how I'm going to kind of market it. And this is how, these are the places where I want it to be placed. Sometimes you can look at people and it seems like there's a plan. And sometimes you can look and there's people that are successful, but you can tell it's kind of luck. Like lightning in the bottle, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, ride whatever you ride. But then there's some people that look like they don't have a clue. And that's okay. I mean, as long as you're having fun, you know, or you have an unlimited supply of money to waste, whatever, you know, I don't know. Everybody's story is different.
Yeah. Got an attic you can put all your unsold books in forever.
Insulate your house with your unsold comics. Right?
Well, you know, one of the impetus for me was funny. There's all these sites now that you've probably seen that talk about obscure and forgotten comics or terrible comics from the 90s group and all this fight. So I would find it funny because I'm kind of an internet voyeur, you know, and I'd see these groups and I'd go in there and lo and behold, there's Tribe. It's always Tribe. Like, so I quietly over the last probably 10 to 15 years, anytime I see people dumping Tribe at like quarter, 50 cent, you know, I'll call a deal and say, how many you got? They'll say, I got 100 of those. I say, you know, I'll take them all for 10 cents a piece. And man, I've probably bought back 10,000 copies of Tribe.
That's awesome.
So it's funny now to be able to take those same copies to conventions again and sell them at cover price.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's crazy to see your stuff in there, but everything's just kind of like a meme or a footnote to these young people. Like, yo, do you believe this thing happened? It's, you know, let's kind of turn this around and pick at it.
Well, you think about from a creative standpoint, if you take a creator like, let's take Mike. I keep picking on you, Mike. Okay, so creators are the ultimate in inside information. So let's say that Mike is going to get, you know, he gets called and they say, Marvel says, we want to put you on a new X book and we want you to put Dark Horse in, you know, Dark Hawk's going to be in the X-Men. Okay, he knows it. So he knows that Dark Hawk is about to have a big comeback. Right. So Mike could start buying the first issue of Dark Hawk for 50 cents until he's got a couple hundred of them. And then he knows he's the one drawing it and going to the shows. Yeah. So boom, those babies are $20 with his autograph in it all of a sudden. That's all insider information, but nobody cares about that in the comics business.
Right.
So, you know, you got to make your own. I mean, that's just one example. Make your own fate. I mean, the nice thing about anybody saying Tribe is like a quarter book. We're back now, so we get to resell all those quarter books.
I love it. That's fantastic. Hey, Larry, how are you, sir?
I'm all right.
It's good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Having some technical difficulties today.
Yeah, it's always. I had to reboot before we started. But
You're too late. I already told all the secrets, man. It's out.
Oh,
Well, yes,
you didn't tell the one about the chicken.
No, I didn't tell him that one.
No, that's for pencil to pencil after dark. We'll do that later. We were talking a little bit about kind of the 90s and kind of where we are now and kind of marketing. And one thing that I saw, especially from some of the, maybe even like the Black creators, who were kind of bringing a different marketing aesthetic to get the word out, was more like, say, a street team with music. You know what I mean? Rather than me just kind of hoping that somebody walks by the comic shop, we got posters on telephone poles, or you know what I mean. We're putting posters, or we're going to the laundromat or the barbershop. My favorite place that I haven't seen in 30 years.
Oh, I love barbershops. That's a great place to get going.
Right, but to the point of a lot of people get into the business, kind of trying to check off these boxes of things that they wanted to do as a fan, but not really thinking it from a business standpoint, or even where the people are, like where the people are, where are they at that you're trying to sell these books to. They might not necessarily be at the comic book store.
And it might not be at these major conventions that they're spending thousands of dollars to get to.
Yes.
Just to be absorbed into, it's not for you. Right. I mean, the average small creator or whatever in San Diego is going to do nothing for you. And that's just my opinion. But it is going to be a pure sinkhole of your budget and money and hotel and flight. But you think, hey, I'm in here, right, and this is where the industry is. But that it's not for you. And you haven't analyzed it well, I don't think.
Well, I think especially now, I mean, when I was self-publishing, I did do it for a few years, but also it was smaller. It was still more comic centric, but then I remember when like Lord of the Rings and all that stuff started coming out, and now it's basically, in fact, friends of mine were at a show in Richmond, and when you looked at the convention thing on the website, look at the page, and I'm going, well, where are the comics people? Mm-hmm. And they're just under guests. You've got celebrities, you've got voice actors, you've got comic people are not listed as comic people. You're just, and
you're fodder.
Yeah, and because it's all the people there to get, William Shatner's signature or, whoever,
I've been at shows where the artists were listed under the cosplayers.
Yeah, well, that's probably who's selling. That's who's buying the tickets.
Yeah, but there's got to be a point here, and is it our job to maybe educate the younger generation of creatives to kind of figure out where you need to be at, or do you just kind of let them bump their head or get their head?
They're not going to listen anyways.
The people who run the shows, they do it based on who they think is of worth to their show. So to them, somebody who's doing a movie or voice acting of a cartoon, that they're more important than we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And people will rarely listen to any information. What you were saying, JAMAR,
and some of those cosplayers do look nice. So.
Well, there's more cosplayers at a big show. I mean, in San Diego, there must be thousands of them. It would seem, at a place like that, way more than people buying booths. The people attending, it's like 100,000 people or something. Some crazy number. What percentage of those people are cosplay people? A huge, huge percentage. So
Steve, do you do print versions of the Middle Age?
I do. All the through crowdfunding. So
okay, and when you print your books, have you gone to San Diego or C2E2 or New York Comic Con?
No, I'll do shows at smaller shows or regional shows or comic centric shows like Baltimore Comic Con or Heroes Con or South Carolina Comic Con. events like that recognize cartoonists, and generally, they'll bring in media guests because they want to bring in, the muggles. They want to bring in folks who, people who aren't readers necessarily.
So where did you come up with that plan?
Beating my head against the direct market for like 20 years, like going to San Diego and trying to sell my stuff there, pitching, kids comics and doing stuff like that. It was really, I'm old. I'm going to do something that's like, this is my last gasp. What have I learned? Can I boil it all into one thing and try that? And so it's been crowdfunding, shows that'll bring me out. It's got to be low cost, low overhead. Can I make money at this? And focus on profitability and, something I can be proud of. So
those are all business concepts and marketing concepts you just said. And that's what people aren't doing enough of. They're not thinking about this in advance.
I always tell the people, go to the big shows to have fun. Period. Just go and have fun and set up at other shows.
And building a mailing list. That's been the thing I've done for like 20 years. I've got people follow me from project to project to project. And I know that mailing list is folks who are interested in the next thing I do. And that's
now, is that email or snail mail?
Email. I haven't done snail mail in a long time, but email.
Yeah. Just curious.
There's a good statement from our good buddy Tim Fielder. What up, Tim Fielder? Everybody's familiar with Tim Fielder's Afrofuturism. Tim says that's a very sad scenario, what we're talking about. But frankly, the comics industry ceded that ground decades ago. We always felt the comics industry should have done a unified Got Milk level campaign. Or even, like, I was watching some old commercials. There was like the National Corn Foundation or whatever. Eat more corn.
What? The National Corn Foundation.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Maybe I should have used a different letter there. But until that's done, we'll remain stuck in gear. So I mean,
the NCF, everybody knows them.
But you know what? Let me say this.
Sure.
And something that Tim just said. I think this is a major problem, especially amongst the young independents, not young in age, but just young or smaller companies. It's the very word industry that everybody concentrates on. That, and you have to understand, we are not all in the same industry, and any so-called industry that includes $1 billion companies like Disney and Warner Brothers, you are not in that industry. And you can fool yourself to keep thinking that by saying that buzzword, but you're not. You're really what me and Larry, and I'll just speak just of us now. We try to concentrate to being in the tribe business. We're not trying to be in the industry business or part of the industry or whatever. We're trying to be in the tribe business and find other people that want to engage in the tribe business, whether that is partnering and helping us sell things or buying things or, collaborating on things. It's just like a show like this. I don't consider this the industry. I consider this some guys. I've watched your show. I like what you're doing. I figured I'd reach out and maybe we can collab on a broadcast like this. I can help you promote your show. You can help us promote our brand. And your brand, which is Pencil and Pencil, was shared across all of me and Larry's social media. So whoever on our social media now knows about your show that maybe didn't know before, and they'll go watch a different show. So that's a partnership in the so-called industry. That's the type of stuff we're interested in. Many economies, little micro economies, not this big industry thing. And I think that's all you hear people talking about. Well, this is what I think will save the industry, or this is what I think the industry. Man, you're not in their industry. So stop trying to even act like we are. Just concentrate on getting your brand, or as they like to say, IP, really engage in what you're doing and make that the best you can be.
Yeah.
And then you can start collaborating with other people and try to grow a actual community. It starts, to me, it really starts, and this is going to sound selfish because the word self is in there. It starts with self. It's your stuff. And then you can branch out to peers and friend groups and stuff, other artists, creators and stuff that and you can communicate with them, and then you can start in the so-called community, which is still stores that you deal with and distributors deal with, and then the industry is last.
Right.
Really the industry's last, that you might blow up enough or get enough attention that somebody is like Steve was saying, inviting you to the show on their dime. Mm-hmm. Where somebody's flying you out and giving you a hotel and giving you a free table and stuff like that. Then you've arrived. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So
well,
that's my Todd talk.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's like the many streams make a river kind of a thing.
Yes.
And because as geek culture has expanded, comics is just like one sliver of that, and then that sliver gets cut into other slivers, right? And you're dealing with, like, when I would teach teenagers, I taught in college, and then I taught a high school class for many years. And you could see each year, as the 14 or 15-year-olds would come into the class, the taste of what they were buying and what they were reading and what they were being entertained by was really changing, especially in like the last 5 to 7 years. Just like a generational shift. Like, these kids now wouldn't know who Calvin and Hobbes were, right? 10 years ago, everybody knew who Calvin and Hobbes were. Now, because that generation of people whose parents took them into Barnes and Noble, and Calvin and Hobbes was out in the light, that's kind of like all moved now. That's all, right? And so you absorb what is easy for you to absorb, and now everybody absorbs stuff off of this. This is the main thing all young people are glued to and absorb everything from every day. They don't wander accidentally into a comic book store and go, I'm going to look for some Gil Kane, Savage Sword of Conan issue. No, it's just like, none of the students went to the comic book store. They read comics, but they all read comics online or from the library, the big, fat.
But even that in a broader sense, though, Mike, if you think of just Mike Manley brand, all of us are 5 different brands. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if Leon the Extraordinary, I should be able to click on JAMAR's social media and I should see Leon everywhere on there. I should see pictures. I should see links. If I go over to Steve's page, I should see a whole bunch of the middle-aged stuff. Now, what you find is you go to other creators' pages and you see nothing but Marvel and DC stuff, even when they don't even work for Marvel and DC. So you could be telling me, if I talk to Steve, I've met him out on the show, and he's telling me, I do the middle-aged and stuff. I say, yeah, let me check out your stuff. And I go to his page, and he's got his pinup of Spider-Man, and he's got his pencils of, whoever, what I'm saying? You get the point. I mean, you have to be the best. Your channel should be Mike Manley 24 hours a day, all the time. And I think we are forgetting that this social media thing is, it's fun, but it's business. And it's your channel. And you can believe that CNN and Fox News and stuff, that Fox News logo comes spinning around every 10 seconds. Breaking news, blah, 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 Fox, blah, 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 Fox. You never make the mistake that you're not turned into Fox if you watch it for more than 10 minutes. And that's what these channels, if you come to the Mike Manley channel, I should see some Mike Manley kick-ass art. Old stuff, new stuff, future stuff. I should know that Mike Manley is a kick-ass artist, and this is what he's currently working on. This is what he's selling. This is what he's doing. And if I don't see that quickly, then I think you failed as a channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what my Instagram is. It's a mix of my old stuff and my new stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's great,
because you got to have the old fans, who's like your base, and then you're trying to get in new people. But I also realize that I have basically three different sort of fan bases. And so do you guys feel like you have an older fan base who was with you from the beginning, and now you're trying to build in a new fan base?
Yes. The old fan base, obviously, some no longer are even in the medium anymore.
Right.
So you can never rely on what you call the base, because the base sometimes has left the market. Some of them, somebody could have died off when you're dealing with older folks. I know that's morbid, but we are getting older. And how do you connect with the next crowd that came after your crowd, or the crowd that's emerging right now? You have to be your dynamic almost has to be ageless, and that's what comics are supposed to be.
We
did
a show, and we're talking with the guy, real young guy. So something came up about me drawing on something or whatever. So he says, "You still draw on paper?" And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, is drawing on paper that ancient?
Yeah.
I'm like, did I miss something? I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't understand how he responded that way. It didn't make sense to me. But I guess in this computer age, that's that again is just one of those things you have to learn.
Well, let's touch on that for a second. We have a question from the chat. Our good buddy Eternity Forever says, "Guys, should comics move to an all digital format?"
No.
Let me finish reading the thing.
That's a hard no.
Let me finish reading the John here. Or should the floppies turn into collections only to reach the next generation of fans and consumers? You guys want to touch on that for a second?
Well, I mean, it's all just going to be opinion, but I think this is like a tactile medium. I think people are going to want to touch stuff and hold it and look at it. And for me personally, and I know I'm part of the older generation, the digital thing doesn't do nothing for me. I don't want to sit in front of my computer flipping through the comics and stuff. I want to hold the thing in my hand. And even the young people I know are still, the digital thing came about as it's still just a money saving thing. Digital is no different than gas stations when we grew up had attendants, and now you're out there pumping in the code yourself. It's somebody convincing you this is the new thing, so they make more money. You're bagging your own groceries, all this stuff. They said, this is going to be great for you. How is this great for me? It's great for you. So the digital comic thing is just going to be less money for different creators and stuff, and printers and paper companies and things like that, which seems great. I just don't think, for me, this is not the hobby. I want to touch it. I want to hold it. I want to collect it. I want to have it. I don't want to turn it on. It's kind of like how photography is dead now, because everybody's just holding all their stuff in their cell phone. What happened there? You remember, all of us have been over relatives' house looking through photo albums and pictures on the wall and stuff. That's great. Nobody even takes time to even put a picture on the wall anymore. Just, hey, look at my phone. Look the phone. Look. I don't know. It's just what you like, basically. That's just an opinion.
Well,
so no on digital.
I think that I'm agreeing with you, because I think that part of comics was collecting and having your box. It gave you a different feeling. I don't think if you're looking at a collection of JPEGs on your phone or PDFs, you're going to ever have the physical emotional attachment to something. And I think it's so easy for that stuff to get lost, and I didn't transfer it over. But I do think, from observing younger people, most of them are just consuming, and it's always that small percentage, that 10% of people that are the hunter-gatherer, the people that I like to go and collect some old Matchbox cars or whatever it's a smaller set because, technology pushes so fast now. We had nothing like that when we were kids.
No.
You went your entire life until probably your 30s before you ever started really interacting with any kind of digital technology. And even in the beginning, like a fax machine and your first computers, that shit was slow. It was slow. It wasn't easy to use. It was very expensive. So,
but you just described the two different type of people. They don't want you holding on to things. That's why everything is now streaming services. We don't have videotape collections or DVD collections or anything like that. It's all just kind of on demand. I don't know. I don't like it that way myself. But then I'm some old dude.
Well, you're starting to see kind of like the resurgence of people going, holy shit, I threw away all my records and put it on his iPod and then the battery died. Why did I do that?
Yep.
You're seeing people backtrack. They're running it back to physical
And now
media.
vinyl has made a full comeback now.
Yeah.
And those same albums that you were throwing away at rummage sales and stuff, they're worth gazillions,
Or you get a virus. Or you get a virus comes through your computer and wipes all your information of the drive that you spent like 5 years trying to accumulate stuff on.
I think that's from Big Corn that happens in the corn industry.
Big Corn put out that bad kernel.
Corn could be nice and corn could be dangerous.
That's right. Was it that kernel panic? That was it.
Depends on how you pop it.
We never talked about that, Larry. A character with Colonel in his name.
That's right.
Yeah.
Colonel Corn.
So,
Colonel C.
Steve, do you want to go into some of these starred
Yes,
questions
we got some questions here. But also, I want to make sure that we don't. The tribe's coming back. That was the impetus to get us all together. Can you?
Tribe is definitely coming back. We're working on it right now, even as we speak.
Yeah. Any hint as to in what form and
street date?
Yeah, it'll be out there. We plan on dropping it in June, comics form, and probably digital form. I think, unfortunately, even though I don't like digital, you still have to hit everything anybody else wants. It's not about what I like individually.
Right. That's another.
Ask this Christopher Lopez, does he want to sell that tribe button? I need one.
I love it.
We have J. Robert Deans over on YouTube, GRD. Gentlemen, 30 years on, what is your process now in creating tribe stories, and what has had a greater impact on that process? Time and familiarity, or technology?
Time. We've had a lot of sleep in 25 years, so we had a lot of time to think about stuff. Technology, I don't think has changed it at all. I still write on yellow pads and then I type it out, maybe to send Larry something. Larry's still drawing on that ancient art form paper with pencils and ink, so.
No, with a thing called a pencil.
Yeah, a thing called a pencil. So the process now, the only thing the process is a little bit different is that you do have mediums like this, and we can do a Zoom call. Phone and text back and forth. We were doing. If Larry drew something back in the day, it was coming by a fax that was taking 5 minutes for one page to come through and making loud. So I mean, the instant aspect of everything has definitely changed the process. But to be honest, we spend a lot of time laughing and talking about old movies
and you know what's really sad about that fax paper is that it has faded away over the years.
Yeah.
That fax paper stuff doesn't even exist. So that's another thing about technology. You have no idea how long this stuff is going to last.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think our worst part of our creative process is distractions. Being distracted by your dog, by you're hungry, by it's time to take another nap. By just don't feel like doing it because you're gonna watch Tombstone, Predator, or Aliens for the 10,000th time or whatever.
I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday, and we were talking about how you would hit these points where, you wish there was something to watch on TV, whatever, your computer or whatever. Now there's so much stuff to watch. You can't figure out what to watch. So it's like the amount of stuff is now canceled out each other. So you find yourself sitting there on Netflix or whatever, spending like 2 hours just looking for something to watch.
Yeah, it's real.
I was doing that last night.
And paying for it every month.
This is a new Tribe page on paper.
Ew, paper, gross.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic. You saw it here first.
Wow.
Those inks are luscious too.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are you inking this yourself, Larry?
Yep.
And are you using the same tools that you used to use, or are you using different stuff now?
Well, back in the day, I was using Crocoil pens and brushes and stuff. Now I still use ink and brush, and the only addition to it is like certain types of pins that I use now, as opposed to the little Crocoil nibs, which you can almost not find anywhere. And that's about it. That's changed. I just haven't graduated up to using a iPad or whatever. I remember going to a show, and it was an art show. So I go there and I was excited because I got to meet a number of people I knew of in the industry that I had never met in person and all that kind of stuff. So as I go in, I'm walking around, I'm looking at the stuff that's up on the wall. Now, the whole point of going to an art show, going to a live art show, is to see original art. Nobody had original art at the show. Everything was just a copy. I'm like, I could have stayed at home and looked at a copy. The whole point of going to going to an art show is to see some original art.
Yeah, I actually think that we will go back around. Maybe not this generation, maybe the next, maybe the, what are they calling this, Generation Alpha, I think is the new
generation. I think that's the new thing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Generation Alpha or maybe Generation Beta, but I think eventually people will go back to doing things by hand because I
remember going to this art exhibit, which I almost didn't make it because I was the last person in line that they took in, and it was a Sid Mead panel and art show and all that kind of stuff. So as I'm going through this show, it was the original paintings and stuff that he did for all those famous movies, Blade Runner and Star Trek and all that other kind of stuff. And then at the end of this exhibit was a couple of rooms that had nothing but like digital paintings and all that kind of stuff. And I just kept going back to that room that had the original art in it because it was just amazing seeing this stuff that turned into these movies. And then I had bought his books back when I was in high school and stuff. And I was like, man, it's nothing more amazing than seeing some original art at a gallery or a museum.
Yeah, yeah. And he was one of the last guys who he never went digital because he was Sid Mead, so he could get away with them saying, I'm not going to work digital. Almost all the people now work digitally, like Craig Mullins, and I forget the guy's name. It's on Instagram. The guy that did all the pre-production for the Masters of the Air, the new Apple TV thing. Beautiful stuff, but the old school guys like Sid Mead or Ralph McQuarrie, they never went digital, and their work, the color spectrum, the drawing, looks different.
Yeah. Todd can tell you a really sad story about a piece of art that he owned once that I think somebody stole it from us during that weekend or whatever at the show that we were at.
Yeah, I bought a show. It was one of the first layouts for John Romita laid out the new Falcon with the red and white costume.
Ooh.
So it was like the original page that he had or whatever. And man, I set that thing down for 2 seconds.
Wow.
somebody just told me recently they saw one being sold. I'm not saying it was mine, but it was being sold on that little art auction place for a pretty penny.
Wow.
But things happen. You have to move on, right?
Oof.
Move on with get the address.
Here's a little commercial break that Larry Stroman's beard is brought to you by Blackwood Men.
Yo, we just did a station call. That's what's up.
And we quench our thirst while I do my gin and juice by Snoop and Dre.
Wow, promotional consideration paid for by the following.
That's right. That's right.
I love it.
Tribe is all about marketing, baby.
And who supplies your suits?
Don't you forget it. Everything we have. This is our cannabis sponsor right here.
Oh, I love it. That's crazy.
Quality
And then
root.
there's
Well, hold on, Larry. Where are you?
Me and Larry are NASCAR.
Oh wow, yeah. There's even you guys have Rumble gear back in the day.
We still do. There's gonna be lots of gear coming out.
I love
That's
it.
amazing.
You gotta have fun, man.
We got a question from Tim Fielder again over on the Facebook. Are you guys selling primarily to the direct market or diversifying with the trade printer distributor outfits like Ingram, the folks who distribute to the bookstores?
We're gonna do an entirely hybrid system that's going to be part of the direct market and when I say direct market, it's going to be straight to the comic shop, no middleman. And then we're going to do a lot of JAMAR's favorite guerrilla marketing. It's going to be like Master P out of the trunk.
I love it. You selling tube socks out the trunk. I love it.
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous. We plan on doing a full, Borg attack.
we're going to start the first out of your trunk comic convention. We're going to rent a big empty lot somewhere, and everybody will pull up in their cars and their vans and whatever, and all of the comics would be sold directly out the back of your.
Steve, you're invited.
Tailgate Con, I'll be there.
Yo, I love it. What do the kids do now? Halloween trunk or treat?
Oh, wait a second. What did you just say there? I'm writing that down. Tailgate Con. I like that.
What did you say, Steve? What did you call it?
Tailgate
Con. Yeah.
That's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Steve's idea.
We're going to have barbecue. We're going to be barbecuing and everything.
So we're not doing barbecue in selling comics out the same truck, are we?
This is our coffee sponsor. Afro Grind Coffee.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. I need more of this. This is so fantastic. That's
Fantastic.
Jamar, we have to have a conversation later about some other stuff. I think you would benefit from some interesting things.
Yeah, sure. Do you have a bucket hat sponsor? We'll have to talk about that.
I do.
Yeah, all right. We're going to have to talk about that.
Lots of hat sponsors. Lots of every kind of. We just picked up a deodorant sponsor.
Yo, we need those at the Comic-Con.
I'm looking at a lot of the start questions we got here. A lot of them are digital. I feel like the answers are going to be really short.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Throw a couple more up.
It might be a speed round.
All natural fence.
Oh no! Yo, you were joking. That's crazy. Yeah, you should sell those right up front at the Comic-Con.
No, seriously. I mean, if you think of this as the comic business, you'd be surprised how instantly your mind goes in a whole bunch of different directions.
Yeah.
Because you have to maintain whatever, I mean, the collabs don't have to always be with comic people,
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, what do you have around you right now? You're on a computer, or you got a cell phone, or you got some pair of gym shoes on, or whatever. I mean, all these people are, they're marketing also.
Steve, you want to talk on this one?
Yeah, Christopher Lopez on YouTube asks, the floppy is obsolete. I'd much prefer to wait 6 months for a trade paperback of original material than pick up a monthly comic. Reckless from Brubaker is a good example. Is that kind of thinking affecting what you're doing?
Definitely.
Will there be floppies, or are you going to go straight to something larger?
No floppies. Just comics and trades. You know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
There's gonna be some. We're gonna have some VHS tapes also of me drawing and stuff, and a couple of 8mm for the people that still have those machines.
The eight track soundtrack.
I love it.
Yep.
We'll have a fresh Betamaxes on deck.
I did a poll on my Facebook page because I'm planning to do some more self-publishing, and I asked that question: do people want floppies or do people want the trade? And just about everybody said that they wanted the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just about everybody wanted the trade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your market is your market. You know, you don't that goes back to what we were originally talking about, the whole distraction from industry. There is no industry standard for you. You set your own industry standard, you know, and that's the thing, you know, what works for Walt Disney or what works for, you know, whoever, Fantagraphics or Dark Horse might not work for you. So don't get stuck in this rut of this is the industry is doing this now. You know, we don't care about that. We're gonna throw everything tribe related up against the wall and see what sticks and keep moving from there. You know, we're not. You got kind of trying to live in your own little vacuum, I guess. You know.
For new readers, for the new audience you're going to acquire, how do you pitch the series? What is the? Do you have the
like an elevator pitch?
Elevator pitch, or how do you describe it?
I tell them it's going to be worth $50 in 2 weeks.
That's all you need to know.
No, I don't think there is a pitch per se that's any different than a pitch would ever be. You're telling, you know, people walk up, they ask you what the book's about. You give them a Cliff Note version because obviously, you know, you don't have 15 minutes to tell them, oh, this is what I got planned and this is the universe and whatever. So you tell them pretty much what it's about and the environment that the comic takes place in. And obviously the rest of it in this medium, obviously what it looks like is the #1 seller. People pick it up, they look at it, and maybe it appeals to them. You know, they don't, writing is not what appeals to people in 5 seconds. It's the art, you know, and then from there, it's your personality. A lot of times sales are made at conventions based on, I went away and I like Steve Conley. You know, I don't know anything about the middle age other than your elevator pitch you gave me, but this guy was really nice. He really explained it, and I want to support him. You know, it's like I made a connection with you, and then I make a connection with your product once I get it home, and then I decide whether I want to keep reading it or I want to keep supporting you or whatever. So half the battle is yourself, man. You know the personalities that we lead with in our marketing. You know who you are and your personality and stuff like that sells more than anything, I think. In the
I would like to personally thank all the people that go to shows that sell digital posters and all this other kind of stuff, because what I predominantly bring is original art, and they've now cut down on all the competition that I have at a show for selling original art, and I usually do pretty well at shows. People say, man, Larry, a lot of people's buying your stuff. Why? I said, because it's original art.
I was one of these all digital guys, and I started like since the 90s. I was drawing with a mouse, and I started picking up a pen because I wanted to make something that people could take with them. Like, you know, I'm not going to sell them a floppy disk or a CD. You know what I mean? I wanted to make artwork, and like going to Heroes Con, you know, yeah, it's great to have the book, but people are there to buy original art. So that's so good.
So if you're at a show and you got your pad in front of you and all that kind of stuff, and somebody comes up and they want to get a sketch in their sketchbook, what do?
Right?
You know?
That's great.
Glue something in.
Oh, Larry, excuse me. Can you lend me a pen for a second? I'm like, all right.
Are you guys going to have a preview up on like your website, or are you doing a Kickstarter? I mean, what is how are you launching it?
It's a top secret plan, Mike.
Okay.
You know, we have these magic beans, and then No, I mean, we're going to do most of the stuff, the standard stuff that you say. We haven't decided on the Kickstarter yet whether that's the method we want to use. But as far as, teasing art, we do have a website up at tribecomic.com. We haven't put the art up yet, but that is coming. We have an Instagram, we have a TikTok, we have a Facebook, we have business cards, flyers, we have an aggressive email list. I mean, all of that. We're still in the real preliminary stage of this right now, because we're more like gathering more data and making more friends and stuff like that before the true concentrated onslaught, right, when the book is being printed and stuff, that you really want to spend all your we're small. So the marketing dollars that you're going to spend on traditional things, you need that really concentrated all at once.
Right. Now, was there a reason you guys decided not to go back through Image, like you just doing it yourself, because it's easier to do it now than it was years ago?
Yeah, we just, we're just not people that we probably don't work well with others. Maybe that might be the short answer. And we just decided that if we only have to argue amongst ourselves, then that's just easier in this, group of two, shall we say.
Right.
What's interesting about it is people continuously ask us about the Image thing. We only did one comic book through them, one single comic book. Everything else we've done on our own.
Right.
And
But I mean, I think a lot of people probably don't know that. Because they know Image, and you were in that group of people that were putting stuff out then, and Image is even way more diversified now as a publisher than it was then. I mean, they're far more diversified as far as style and subject matter, but it's also way easier to self-publish than it was in the 90s, because I was self-publishing in the 90s, and you didn't have things like Kickstarter. Printing was much more expensive, especially anything in color. So I was just wondering if that all sort of figured into like, well, it's easier for me to do it myself now,
right?
You guys to do it yourself, as opposed to go through somebody who had the whole had the track laid down. It was easy to put your car on their track, but now you can do your own track.
Well, I remember back in the day when kind of the attitude that a lot of people had is that if you're not doing work through Marvel or DC, you was kind of a loser. So when you publish your own stuff, it's like, okay, Richard Corbin and those heavy metal guys and all those guys that did all that cool stuff that we grew up with, that people didn't consider them like legitimate comic people because they were working for Marvel or DC and all that kind of stuff. Now you got the top guys at Marvel and DC leaving to do their own stuff. So now doing your own stuff is like the end goal of all of it, especially when it gets to that point where you have a movie deal, a cartoon deal, or whatever. It's your thing now, and people sell less copies because they don't have that distribution thing, but you also keep all the money to yourself.
It's kind of like the Prince Warner Brothers model. When he said when he left Warner Brothers, he could sell a sixth of what he was selling and make more money than when he was with them.
Yeah.
So, and just, some of it is, we're just talking money now. There are other things that are important, like your peace of mind, your work environment, and things like that, like working under another company or under somebody else's rules and edicts and stuff. It's just not really for us at 61 years old, 30 years later, or there'd be fist fights, it's that's a problem when you tell a bunch of grown people what to do now. We'd rather just be in our little dynamic and have our little fun, and our market, we will find our market by how we market and be happy with what we get. It doesn't have to be part of what the industry and where the industry is telling us to go and who we're supposed to sell to. we will find our market, and our market will find us, and that's what Tribe's going to be for.
I love it.
Great.
Guys, we're going to start wrapping up. Where'd the time go? I don't. That's the magic of Pencil to Pencil. But I have a couple of quick last-minute questions that might send us out on a really good note. This is a good one that people would be upset with us if we didn't ask before you guys left. Eternity Forever posits, well, asks, how long will this version of Tribe last? Is this an ongoing or a group of one-shots or a mini-series?
This is ongoing into our next hibernation season.
I love it. That's a great answer.
We're like unicorns, you know?
So, Spectacular Umbreon, welcome to the channel. And this is interesting because we're going to get back into digital for a second. Webtoons is like one of the biggest things in the universe, and all the young people go there first. That's like, you know, having the Amazon tab open on your thing all the time.
We're learning this stuff as we go along. So Webtoons is, you know, we're still trying to figure out some other things.
Right,
you know,
right.
We'll get there
eventually. That paper, J-Mar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, not to say, because I know, you know, there's also a lot of very specific kind of vessels of stories that happen on Webtoon, and that's where a lot of the audience goes to get that. But, you know, necessarily are you thinking about just, you know, looking at the new market from where things are now to where you're trying to kind of insert yourselves?
Well, I think there's some things that we want to do, and I think there's going to be things that are going to find us while we're out there. You know, and Webtoon might be one of those things. You know, I mean, obviously everybody says they want to make a movie, they want to make a cartoon, some of that stuff will happen, you know, naturally as we're putting ourselves back out there. I mean, you're talking about two guys with a property that's been gone for decades, and we're already in a matter of months, you know, we're out there again, you know. So that's like half the battle. That's like getting out of bed, man, and you know, finding something to wear that's not wrinkled. You know, it's like we have to set our own pace and get in a groove and enjoying it and smiling and being happy, and then that's when we'll do our best creative work, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're leading with the fun and getting the stuff done before we start saying, oh, we're part of this, part of this, part of that, part of that. We just want one issue out first, get it out there,
right,
and then have the joy of actually selling it to somebody.
That's a great answer.
How many pages are your issues going to be? You're going to be a little bit fatter, like not 22 pages. Going to be more, or
we're doing about 25, 26.
Okay.
That's, you know what, I have just a
whole lot of ads.
Are we going to see Con Stick in there? Was it Con Stink or whatever that deodorant was called? Fences. That's the name. No, that was the name of your cologne.
What was it?
The deodorant. You're going to have your deodorant ads.
Well, you're definitely going to see the deodorant. You're going to see everybody that wants to help us out.
You know what? Con Stink is actually a good name for a character. So
write that down.
That's right.
Write that down with tailgate con.
That's right. I want my tailgate.
Come meet. I'm going to get a pro wrestler to play Con Stink.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tell Larry we'll collab with that. I just want my points. It's all good.
That's right.
So I have maybe one other thing about modern times, and we all know how fast things change and the pace of keeping up with Instagram and keeping up with your TikTok. And I'm really interested in seeing how you guys tackle TikTok. That's a lot of T's I just threw in there.
Wait a minute, TikTok's about to be taken down, right?
Well,
not yet.
Not yet. So I have a question for you guys. How are you guys considering kind of basically driving onto this on-ramp of, you know, modern interfaces? Like, you know, the idea that you're putting things out every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, every week. Like, have you, you know, do you have kind of a plan for how you're going to attack?
Yeah, we have a schedule that we're going to keep, and we have a plan of how all the social media will be linked. You know,
we used to travel around. Well, back in those days, you had to travel everywhere,
right,
because you didn't have all the internet stuff and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Me and Todd had to make a promise with each other that we absolutely will not eat at any Denny's on the way to travel around, because we have eaten at just about every Denny's, Bennigan's, Hooligans across America. So unless they sponsor us, and then we'll go back to eating at Denny's again.
There you go.
Shenanigans, and
You're gonna get the Tribe 3-egg special. I like
Hey,
that.
hey, where are you guys located? Where are you at, Jamar?
Philly.
How about you, Steve?
I'm in just north of Daytona in Florida.
Daytona, Florida. How about you, Mike?
Right outside of Philly.
Right outside of Philly.
They're
Okay.
like a mile.
Okay.
It's across the street. You guys got to come through. It'll be great. We'll
We
get
are going to come through.
we'll get some cheesesteaks. It'll
We'll
be
get some
fantastic.
cheesesteaks and we'll get you some Johns.
Yeah.
We are going to hold you guys.
As long as it's not from Denny's.
No,
Right.
we don't have Denny's in the city limits. They won't even come in here.
Yeah,
okay.
no, there's only one. I actually only know of one Denny's. And
Yeah,
that's where I am.
the airport.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's the airport.
Jamar, we're going to hold you to that hospitality.
All right.
No Waffle House though. We don't have any Waffle.
We don't have
House.
Waffle Houses either. Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't have here in Philly. There was a question in here I want to ask before we get out of here, because I know you guys have to pee. So let's look at this one. Eternity, and again, the MVP of this episode.
No.
Never.
Let me read the
Never.
thing. Todd, let me read the question.
Never.
Will the physical art of Tribe ever-
Never.
Oh, all right, there it is. You heard it here.
Now, this is what I am going to do is I'm going to do like pinups and stuff of Tribe characters. That would be so, but the actual printed art, we never sell that stuff.
That's why Larry inks his own stuff, so he doesn't have to share any of it.
Well, I mean,
And-
that's interesting, because I do know other people. The person who comes to mind specifically is Walt Simonson. He never sells any of his stuff, and I think he plans on maybe, who knows, like donating it to a museum or something when he retires, because he still has all of his old stuff going way back. You know, so I think it's pretty cool, because some people sell everything, and you know, now you see the prices going for stuff, and they wish they didn't sell it. And then I know a couple other people. I don't think Jerry Ordway sold a lot of his stuff either. There's certain people that kind of like keep their stuff.
Yeah, Al Milgram never sold anything.
Oh,
That
okay.
guy, somebody came in, I think somebody estimated what he had, and it was like millions of dollars worth of stuff that he had.
Yeah.
I think he last time I spoke to him, he said just recently he started selling some of that stuff.
Wow.
That's wild.
And he's got stuff that probably a couple of pieces here or there are worth a fortune. I know Terry Austin is the same way. He still has, I think, like all that old X-Men stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know you guys are stumping right now. You guys are doing a lot of interview shows and podcasts and live.
Only the
streams.
best. Only the best.
Checks in the mail, Todd. I love it.
It's the truth. Only the best.
And you know, even this will maybe be my last thing. And also, what's really interesting about modern times is that everybody, if they hustle hard enough, can have a platform.
True statement.
You know what I mean? So I think, you know, it's fantastic that there's a bunch of different places you can be at to talk about your work and to promote. How do you feel about that part of being a creative in 2024? Like, you know, do you even think there's a option where you two could just be off camera and just working on books and not have an internet presence or not have your face on everything?
Definitely.
I don't think you can do it in these days. I think you have to be part of all of that that's going on. Like I was having a conversation with a guy earlier today, and he was talking about posting stuff on his Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and he says all he does is just post stuff. I said, no, dude, you got to interact with people.
Yeah.
You have to talk about something. You have to comment on a movie or some music or something that happened amongst some other professionals in the business, or you know, what you have to say about the guys who are experts on the industry who have never been in the industry. It's just all the stuff, and you can't just exist just as a guy posting art anymore. It just doesn't. That's not how the world works anymore.
Yeah.
You'd like to invest in your sport.
JAMAR, what people want now is you're not just a creator anymore. You're JAMAR Nicholas, a lifestyle brand. So they want to know everything you're doing. They want to know what you're eating. They want to know what you're reading behind you. They want to know what you had for lunch.
I had cafeteria pizza for lunch. That's what
they just want to know you. They just don't want to know Leon the Extraordinary. They want to know who's creating it and how you created it. And they want to know whether you're married or single, you got kids, you got a dog. I mean, people. Social media is like voyeurism, and it's like we all want to, immerse ourselves into the community you chose to be in now. And you guys have started a community right here with Pencil and Pencil. And these people are tuning in to hear what you guys. There
was a professional. I'm not going to say his name. We've known him for like forever, and this guy did some kind of podcast thing, and I think he'd been high or drunk or something. And man, this guy starts yelling and screaming and cussing, and then he falls asleep.
Oh, I know about that.
For the next hour and a half, he was asleep. I said, this is the greatest Zoom show that there has ever been. Because how often do you ever experience that? So to me, that's entertaining to me. When stuff happens and you have no idea, it's like those people that do the podcast thing and the police come into their house and arrest them. That's like the greatest thing in the world to see that, to be able to witness that type of stuff.
Well, you remember all the train wrecks during COVID.
Yeah.
Like people were having office meetings and they were picking up their laptop thinking it was cool and they were going to sit on the toilet and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just.
Or some guy's wife would be walking in the background naked, having no idea that he was on the show.
That stuff is great.
Well, we'll save that for Pencil to Pencil After Dark.
More.
Everybody here is wearing pants.
This new dynamic is great for what we all do. You get a peek at everybody's personality and a peek at what makes them tick. I mean, I sit there and zoom in on people. The stuff is behind them. It's like, hey, what is that? He collects such and such. Everything. Your whole environment tells a million things. I mean, we were on a Zoom call the other day, and behind me is a picture of my son and my daughter, and some guy in the Zoom was like, "Well, who's that girl?" I said, "Dude, don't even try it. Don't say nothing. That's my daughter." So it's like people are looking at everything you're doing. You got some old sock in the corner or something.
Get rid of those socks, bro.
Some dirty room or something you're broadcasting for. It's hilarious. It's hilarious what goes on.
But in this day and age, you could take that sock and put it up for auction, and I guarantee you somebody's going to buy it.
Well, if you're not,
all my socks are going up on eBay.
That's
eBay,
right.
see?
Right.
I love marketing, so I like the way, just like your transitions you guys did, or how your show opens, and your logo, and how nicely you presented. I love how you guys presented us and all your guests with the promotional stuff. That looks like you guys have a plan. And the marketing is like very strategic and very just so, take care, man. And not disparaging anybody's shows, but we've been on some funny shows. I'm sure you've seen some funny shows, but those are hilarious in their quirky ways too.
Right.
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 But I love what everybody does marketing wise. That's what engages me,
Awesome.
Well, see how people are doing their thing.
Well, Todd, you're going to love Coffee Break with JN, which will be on tomorrow, right on this channel at 9 p.m. EST.
Well, I'm going to come check it out.
You can watch me drink a cup of coffee. That'll be great.
I'm going to get you a coffee sponsor.
I love it. Guys, we're gonna put this to bed. You guys have been fantastic guests. Everybody is foaming at the mouth, waiting for the next Tribe drop. I know I'm excited and I'm a fan. Guys, the Besides, well, I know you have the Tribe. Thanks, Steve, for putting that on the screen. Are there any other links where people can follow you guys online?
On Instagram, we're the same. Tribe Comic, just at Tribe Comic.
All right, cool. What about personal?
Our personal, we're both on Facebook. Me under Todd Johnson and Larry under Larry Stroman. So we're easy to find. We're always on Facebook talking nonsense. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Thank you guys. This was a very enlightening, professional.
No, it was truly an honor.
Thank you guys.
A lot of fun.
And once again, Mike, thank you for those Dark Hawk number 4s. That was good money.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, hold on one second. If you want to do the outro with us, if you just want to go pee, I'll let you go. But this will take 1 second. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll be back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.
Oh, let me correct you. You don't use the word pee anymore.
It's
what you do is say 8-ball.
What? Isn't that what John Belushi?
No.
John Belushi? I don't know.
You say, I'm going to go take an 8-ball.
Wow.
Yo, Larry, you threw me off my game. All right, you got me on that one. Next week's guest is fan favorite Tony Moore. You remember Tony Moore from The Walking Dead and Fear Agent and all that.
Man, that's one of the nicest dudes I've ever met.
Tony's fantastic. He's a peach. He's a peach. And you guys see, we only have the cream of the crop on Pennsylvania.
That's true. That's why we're here.
This is Platinum Plus.
We found you. We found you guys.
Thank you so much, man. You know, this is what we're doing. Hope you guys will join us next week. And this is what we're going to do, guys. Hope you'll do it with us. We're kind of out of a pandemic, but I'm not so sure. But I think the robots are going to get us next. So before we're walking on skulls and dodging laser blasts, be sure to wash those Kirby hands. Put your Kirby hands up. Let's see.
Get your Kirby hand. Get the Kirby up.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm hanging out with y'all.
There you go.
I'm going to the bunker. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Take care. The honor was ours. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Nice to meet you, Steve and Mike.
Good night.